Welcome back to the dark abode known as the Curse Cabin. Together we tread the path of horror. As we embark on another bone-chilling tale, I urge you to show your support, leave a like, subscribe, and let the nightmare begin. The hospital for the insane stood tall and imposing against the darkened sky, its windows reflecting the pale moonlight. Mark, a young nurse with a sense of duty and a hint of curiosity, prepared himself for another long night shift. As he entered the dimly lit corridors, he couldn't shake the unease that hung heavy in the air. The night began like any other. Mark checked in with the night staff, receiving briefings on each patient in the ward. The ward was a labyrinth of locked doors, echoing with distant cries and the muffled sounds of restrained anguish. Mark's heart weighed heavy with compassion for those confined within these walls. As the hours ticked by, Mark noticed the atmosphere in the hospital growing increasingly oppressive. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence settled upon the corridors. The flickering fluorescent lights cast unsettling shadows on the peeling walls, creating a macabre dance of darkness and light. The first sign that something was amiss came when Mark heard a distant, chilling laughter echoing through the halls. It sent a shiver down his spine, but he dismissed it as his imagination playing tricks on him. He continued his rounds, checking on the patients and ensuring their safety. During one of these rounds, Mark encountered a patient known as William. William had been admitted to the hospital years ago, believed to be suffering from a severe mental illness. As Mark approached his room, he noticed an unusual stillness that contrasted with the chaos of the other patients. Opening the door cautiously, Mark found William sitting on the edge of his bed, his eyes locked onto the window. There was an intensity in his gaze as if he saw something beyond the physical realm. Mark hesitated, but decided to approach and strike up a conversation. "Good evening, William," Mark said, his voice laced with genuine concern. "How are you feeling tonight?" William turned to face him, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and clarity. "They won't believe me. They think I'm insane," he whispered, his voice trembling. Mark, intrigued by William's words, sat down beside him. "What do you mean, William? What won't they believe?" With a deep breath, William began recounting his story. He explained that he had been wrongly accused and held captive within the hospital. He spoke of a dark conspiracy and a sinister presence that lurked within these walls. Mark listened, his skepticism waning as he saw the desperation in William's eyes. As the night wore on, strange occurrences plagued the hospital. The faint whispers of voices grew louder, echoing through the corridors. Shadows moved with a life of their own, slithering across the walls like twisted apparitions. Mark's unease intensified, and a sense of impending danger filled his every breath. In the midst of this chaos, William's demeanor shifted. He displayed an uncanny awareness of the supernatural forces at play. With a determination that belied his alleged insanity, he offered Mark guidance, revealing hidden escape routes and sharing fragments of forgotten knowledge. Together, they navigated the treacherous labyrinth of the hospital, evading malevolent spirits and uncovering the truth behind William's imprisonment. Mark's faith in his patient grew with each passing moment, and he realized that William's alleged madness was nothing more than a facade designed to keep him trapped within the hospital's walls. As they reached the hospital's bowels, Mark and William discovered a chamber that held the source of the darkness that plagued the institution. It was a decrepit room filled with ancient tomes and symbols etched into the walls. The presence within the room was suffocating, but Mark knew he had to confront it. With William by his side, Mark summoned the courage to challenge the malevolent force. They recited incantations and performed rituals in an attempt to banish the darkness that had consumed the hospital. The air crackled with energy as the room erupted in a blinding light, forcing the malevolence to retreat. As the light faded, Mark and William emerged victorious, the hospital bathed in a newfound calm. The tormented spirits that had haunted its corridors were finally at rest, and the truth behind William's captivity had been exposed. In the aftermath of their ordeal, Mark made it his mission to ensure that justice prevailed. With William's assistance, they brought the hospital's dark secrets to light, exposing the conspiracy that had condemned innocent souls to a life of torment. Months passed, and the hospital underwent a transformation. It was no longer a place of darkness and despair, but a beacon of hope and healing. William, once seen as a deranged inmate, was vindicated, his name cleared. Mark, forever changed by the events of that night shift, continued his work with renewed determination. He became an advocate for the voiceless and a protector of those lost in the shadows. And as for William, he found solace in the freedom he had long yearned for. His keen insights into the supernatural became a guiding light for others, helping those who were still trapped in their own personal hells. The night shift in the hospital for the insane became more than just a job for Mark. It became a testament to the power of compassion, resilience, and the belief that sometimes the true demons reside not within the patients, but within the very walls that confine them.